All Hallows Eve, known today as Halloween. It has its history in Celtic festivals and has evolved through Christian traditions to become a celebrated holiday on October the 31st each year. The ween comes from Scotland. It means the eve, the evening before. And it's the evening before the AllHallowsTide, which is All Hallows Day. Halloween's got its origins in the Celtic festival of Samhain. The festival marked the end of the harvest season and the beginning of winter. The Celts believed that on the eve of Samhain, October the 31st, the boundary between the living and the dead was blurred, allowing spirits to return to the earth. It is the Western Christian feast of All Hallows Day, which marked the beginning of AllHallowsTide, the Christian liturgical year dedicated to remembering the dead, including the saints and martyrs and the faithful departed. And the trick-or-treating is believed to come from the Christian baking and sharing of soul cakes. Soul cakes were imprinted with a cross, much like hot cross buns. The dressing up was to fool any vengeful ghosts, and the carved jack-o'-lanterns made from pumpkins or squashes, even turnips, were meant to ward away any evil spirits. Today, many enjoy the trick-or-treating, where from ancient history, people have shared in food and drink that was from the harvest, especially a hot toddy of cider, apple bobbing, shared potato cakes, soul cakes and other harvest foods whilst remembering the dead. People were given soul cakes when they prayed for the dead. So people went to pray for the dead and they were given soul cakes in return. It's a celebration where any soul that has departed is remembered. Modern celebrations of today include ghost stories told by the fire, dressing up and sharing food and drinks for cheer, to get out of the cold. Christian saints remembered, and the favourite of, especially today, of the dressing up, people like the tales of witches and goblins and fairy folk and otherworldly spirits. And, today in more modern times, people are dressing up like the comic Marvel book characters, or along with dressing up like skeletons, vampires, cats, bats, Disney characters and other comic book heroes, all out to do souling and remember the dead. As for the history of Britain and its witch trials, because dressing up as a witch at Halloween is one of the favourites, the most famous ones being, first and foremost, Pendle Hill witch trials of 1612. And then there were North Berwick trials in 1590, the Essex witch trials in 1566, and the Matthew Hopkins witch hunts in 1645, and the Islanmagee witch trials of 1711. Of course, there were other not so famous witch trials that went on and witch hunts that had gone on in Britain at the time. And another favourite is skeletons. People go around dressing up as skeletons. And not forgetting that the Christian churches, with the gargoyles that they have, they also have the skull and bones, and a lot of medieval churches throughout Britain. If you visit one, you'll see them. Of course, the other one is ghosts, and all the ghost stories that surround the fireside and storytelling at this time of year. And, the Tower of London is quite famous for a lot of ghost stories. And we do have a lot of ghost stories up and down the country. Poor old Anne Boleyn had her head cut off, and it's been told, as they say, that her ghost has been spotted in the Tower of London with her head tucked underneath her arm. She's also been seen at Blickling Hall. Apparently there's a ghostly coach with horses that rides with great speed towards Blickling Hall, and inside the coach there's a lady that no longer has a head on her shoulders. Perhaps she's got it tucked underneath her arm. And of course there was the Hampton Court Palace ghost that was caught on CCTV camera years ago. The doors had flung open and this ghost had closed the doors. You can find it somewhere if you search for it on the internet. It'll be available, that footage. But of course Britain was hit hard, and they were reminded a lot of death as well. So it was an important festival that became a Christian festival. We suffered the Black Death, and there was lots of plagues, and it exists today amongst ruins of old medieval plague villages that were left abandoned due to the plague that wiped out approximately about half of the British population. But it can still be seen amongst a lot of overgrowth, amongst brooks and a lot of trees and a lot of vegetation and overgrowth. The crumbling stones that are there. And that's a little detail on to do with the Celtic and Christian tradition of Halloween.